So we have Python programs here, and right now I'm going to close this Python shell and I'm just going to run this, and it's asking me where to run it. Okay, using which app, right? Had it been an exe file, it would have executed automatically, right? So that is not possible right now, but how to actually convert it into a software and all, that I will let you know later. Okay, because I have also created this attendance processor app. I'll just show it to you, through which I am going to give you your attendance every day. I'll show that app to you, and I also have to change it into an exe file so that I could even distribute it to other people. So this is how it is. This is the attendance processor app which I have written in, which I have coded in Python. So right now I need the Python shell to execute it. How to change it into an exe file, once I figure it out, then I will be sharing it with you all also. Yes, so I hope you all have seen your marks of the mock test, and hopefully next week we are going to begin with your first unit test. Okay, so we got the information yesterday, and for that I'll be sending your syllabus also today. So just check it out. After the class, I would send the syllabus. Okay, anytime during the day. So in the meantime, then one more mock test I will be planning for you. So whichever is our next theory class, you will be having another mock test during that class, right? Okay. Okay, so we are going to continue from where we had stopped in the last class, and there was one question which was still left, and that was the bitwise complement operator. Okay, which is denoted by a tilde symbol, right? And you have to just attach an operand along with it. It is a unary operator. What is a unary operator? Can anyone tell me?
Ma'am, which needs only one operand.
Yes, which needs only one value or one operand. Okay, so here A is the operand, and this tilde sign, its spelling is like this, tilde. Okay, and it is denoted by this symbol. Usually you will find it in a key beside the key where one is there. On your keyboard, you would have a key. This is one, which contains an exclamation mark. Just beside that, you will find this key. So along with shift, you have to use this key. Now, in this case, I will show you how it works. If I write tilde 2, it gives me -3. So this was what we were trying to figure out in the previous class. So what happens is, tilde 2 means, first of all, we'll try to represent 2 in the form of an 8-bit byte. So the representation of 2 in the form of 8-bit byte is this. Okay. If I use the bitwise complement operator, it will change 1 into 0 and 0 into 1. So it would become like this. Understood? So you can see that all the bits are inverted. Now, what about -3? So first we will try to represent 3 in the form of an 8-bit byte. Just a second. Yes. So we'll try to represent this in the form of an 8-bit byte. That is, now to represent negative numbers, your computer internally stores negative numbers in the form of 2's complement. What is 2's complement will be clarified more in the chapter data representation. For the time being, I'll just tell you how 2's complement is represented. Firstly, all the bits are inverted and then a 1 bit is added. Now you can see that these two numbers, that is complement of 2 and 2's complement of 3, they both are the same. Okay, that is, this is the representation of -3 in the computer. Negative numbers are always represented in the form of 2's complement representation. Understood? So this is how it is. We will try to understand this with one more example. Let's come back to this and I'll use complement of 5. That is giving me -6. So let's first try to represent 5. 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 1, 0, 1. This is the binary representation of 5. Now, not 5 will be what? 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 0, 1, 0. Right? Let us check -6. So first we have to take up 6 and represent it in the form of an 8-bit byte. So it would be 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, 0. Take out the 2's complement, that would be 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 0, 0, 1 and add 1. This is a binary addition which I am doing, which is different from adding decimal numbers. Understood? So now you can see that 2's complement of 6 is equal to bitwise complement of 5. That is not 5 equals -6. And -6 is represented by the 2's complement of the number 6. So that was left in our previous class. So today we will be just moving ahead with the other things. So we had seen arithmetic operators, bitwise operators. We have to see the shift operator now. Okay. Sorry, bitwise operators, we have one more thing. Arithmetic operators we had seen in the last class. We will be seeing bitwise operators. So one bitwise operator you have already seen, which is a unary operator, that is the tilde sign which is used for bitwise complement. Now what we are going to see is they are binary operators. So in bitwise binary operators, what do we have? We have a bitwise operator represented by an ampersand symbol. It is spelled as ampersand. Understood? It is pronounced as ampersand. And this represents bitwise AND operator. Please note it down somewhere. This is known as bitwise AND operator. Okay. Second is we have a pipe symbol. And it represents bitwise OR operator. Okay. And okay. So we have these operators. So this OR operator is an inclusive OR operator. Next is a caret symbol, which is represented by this. And it stands for bitwise XOR operator, also known as exclusive OR. Please write these down in your copy and I will explain them. In brackets on the left side, I have written how these numbers are represented in the memory. Sorry, in brackets, these brackets, I have specified this over here I have specified how we call or pronounce these symbols. Okay, these are the symbols which we use. Ampersand, pipe symbol and caret symbol. You will find the pipe symbol beside the square bracket symbol on your keyboard. And let me show you these symbols by using the on-screen keyboard. This is the on-screen keyboard, right? And here this is the pipe symbol which you can see. So you use this along with the shift operator, along with the shift button. You press shift and you will get the pipe symbol. Above 7 you have the ampersand, okay, and above 6 you have the caret symbol. Now first we will see what is the AND, bitwise AND operator. Bitwise AND operator says if both bits are 1, then result is 1. Okay. Else result is 0. How? Take a look. We have these combinations. Okay. 0 and 0 will give you what? 0. 0 and 1 will also give you 0, because if there is 1 0, even if there is 1 0, it will give you 0. 1 and 0 will give you 0. 1 and 1 will give you 1. Now, how exactly this works? Okay, so let's see. We'll go to this. Okay, and now I'm just typing here 4. First, I'll type the binary of 4. Get this 1 0 0, and we type the binary of 2. We get 1 0. Right? Let us try to do the bitwise AND operation on them. So 4 ampersand 2. We get 0. Let's see how. So first let us try to represent 4 in the form of bits. Okay. So it should be 0 1 0 0. Next I will try to represent 2. That would be 0 0 1 0. And now let me try to do the AND operation on it. That is 4 and 2. So we have 0 0. 0 and 0 will give you what? 0. I will write 0 here. 0 and 1 will be what? 0. 1 and 0 will be what? 0. 0 and 0 will be what? 0. Even if you represent it in the form of 8-bit byte, same way 0 0 0, all zeros would be there, and all zeros is the binary representation for 0. Okay, so this is bitwise AND operator. Let us take some other example. 6 and 7. So we are getting 6. So let us try to see this. What is the binary representation of 6? So first we will try to see bin 6. It is 110, and bin 7, that is 111. Right? So if I represented it like this, 0 0 0 0 0 1 1 0, and 7 0 0 0 0 0 1 1 1. Let us try to do the AND operation on it. 0 and 1 will give me what? Tell me. Yes.
0.
0,
1 and 1 will give me what?
1,
1.
1. 1 and 1.
1.
1,
1. And rest all, they will be
0.
0,
0,
because there is 0. Now what are we getting over here? 110, which is equal to 6. And see the answer, that is 6. So that is bitwise AND operator, right? Which works on the binary representation of the numbers. Two numbers are converted into binary and their corresponding bits are ANDed. Okay, we say they are ANDed. Understood? That is, this AND operation is performed by on the individual bits. Second is, students, please write this down in your copy because this is something whose detailed description is not given in the book. So please write this down. Try to do it for some other number. Okay, no, you don't know how to convert it. So wait, I'll tell you. I'm trying to use another example over here, and maybe that example could be like, for example, 3 and 4. So I'll give you the binary representation of 3. It is 1 1 and 4 is 1 0 0. Represent them in the form of 8-bit bytes and do it on these two and check the answer. You should get 3 and 4 equals 0.
Yes, ma'am.
Ma'am, 0.
Yes, ma'am. 0.
You're getting 0. Have you converted it into form of 8-bit byte? You have to first convert 3 and 4 in the form of 8 bits, and then on the corresponding bits you will be doing the operation. So considering 3 as 0 0 0 0 0 0 1 1 and 4 as 0 0 0 0 0 1 0 0. So what should we get? 0 0 0. All zeros you will be getting over here. Understood that? Okay. Next, we are going to see the bitwise OR operator. So let's see the bitwise OR. Which is represented by a pipe symbol. Now, what does it say? Even if one of the bits is 1, result should be 1. That is, we have taken all combinations. Okay, I write 0 or 0, 0 or 1, 1 or 0, 1 or 1. So what should be the result of 0 or 0? Because both are 0, the result will be 0. Here, one of the bits is 1, result will be 1. Here also, one of the bits is 1. Here, both bits are 1. So, even if there is one bit which is 1, your result will be 1. Okay. So, let's try and do this on some numbers. Like, we'll take the same, say 4 and 6. Okay. So, I'm taking 4 or 6. We get 6. Let's see how. So, I'm writing here 4. 0 0 0 0 0 1 0 0, and we are writing 6 as 0 0 0 0 0 1 1 0. Do the OR operation. 0 or 0 will be 0, 0 or 1 will be 1, this will also be 1, rest everything will be 0. So we are getting what? 6, and the result is also 6 over here. Check it for two numbers, 7 and 8. 7 is 1 1 1, 8 is 1 0 0 0 0. 7 or 8, it will give you 15. And the binary representation of 15 is 1 1 1 1. Sorry, I used the wrong symbol over here. It will be pipe symbol. Do it and tell me if you are getting 15. So this OR is your inclusive OR.
Yes, ma'am. I'm getting.
Okay. Next OR is,
Ma'am,
yes,
we have to learn all the binary codes.
you don't learn binary codes here. You actually convert numbers into binary. Okay. That conversion technique will be taught in the chapter data representation. It's just that I have given you an insight into what you are going to learn in that chapter a bit early, right? So you will be, oh, it's obvious that you will be converting these numbers, but you have to learn at least binary representation of numbers from 0 to 15. At least this much you should remember. And that's not very difficult. I'll tell you a trick also. You can create a, when I teach you that chapter, data representation, in that you will be getting the complete idea about what you have to do, how you have to learn it and stuff like that. Next is bitwise XOR, represented by a caret symbol, also known as exclusive OR. Understood? Now, what are the rules for XOR? Zero. First, let me write these. Now, the rule says if both bits are same, result is 0, else 1. That means result will be 0 if both bits are the same. That is 0 and 0 XOR 0, that will give you 0. 1 XOR 1 will give you 0. But 1 is 0, other is 1, 1 is 1, other is 0. This will give you 1. This is the rule for XOR. Let's try to do it for some number. Let me take 6 caret 5. So we are getting 3. So 6 is represented by 110 and 5 is represented by 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 1, 0, 1. 0 and 1. Okay, 0 XOR 1 will give you what? 0. Here also 1 XOR 0 will give you 0. But both are same. Sorry. 1 second. I gave the wrong answer. This will be 1. This will be 1 and rest all will be 0. So 1, 1 is the representation for the number 3. And you are getting what? 3 over here. So that is exclusive OR. These were the bitwise operators. Next, we have the shift operators. They also work on bits. Let us understand the shift operators now. We have two shift operators. One is the right shift and the second is the left shift. Because it is a binary operator, hence it will require two operands and that would be of the form this. Now, listen very carefully. If I write A right shift B, it would mean that first I will represent A in the form of 8 bits. Okay. And then I am going to shift the bits to the right side by the factor of B. Okay. So let us try to understand this with an example. So for this, I am going to take a value, say 45, and no, I'll not take very large value. I'll take short values for the time being. 8 and right shift 3. I am getting 1. How? Let's see. What is the binary representation of 8? 0 0 0 0 1 0 0 0, right? And what have I given on the right hand side? I have given 3. So I have to shift the bits by 3 positions, right? So how it would be? These 3 bits would from the right side would be clipped off, and this 1 would come over here. So 1 and all the remaining zeros which are there on the left side of 1, and on this side you are 3 bits short, so 3 zeros will be added, not these zeros. This empty space will be filled with zeros. What you did? You just shifted these 3 bits towards the right hand side. ओके, इन तीनों बिट्स को आपने राइट साइड में शिफ्ट कर दिया. किसका दिया? तो अब क्या हो गया? 1, ये जो 1 था वो कहाँ पे आ गया? इधर आ गया. ये जो 0 था वो यहाँ आ गया. ये 0 यहाँ आ गया. ये 0 यहाँ आ गया. और लास्ट में क्या हुआ? 3 जगह बची थी वहां पे आपने 3 जीरोस अलग से लगा दिए. So now what you are getting is the binary representation for 1, which is exactly what you got over here. Same way, if I take it as 8 right shift 2, we are getting 2. How? Let's see. So 8 is represented like this. And you have to shift 2 bits. So ये 2 bit अगर आप हटा दो, so you will be getting this 1 0 over here and 4 zeros here. And 2 bit positions are left. So add 2 zeros over here. You get the binary representation for 2. Okay, so this is right shift, and left shift is similar, only thing we would be shifting towards the left side. Like if I write 8 and left shift 3, we get the binary representation for 64. Okay, that is if I write 8 like this, zero zero zero, and I am going to shift it by 3 positions this side. That is, I am going to clip these 3 zeros. So now it would be 0 1 0 0 0, and empty positions will be filled with zeros. Now let us convert this number which we have just found into from binary to decimal. So how we'll do it? This method you don't have to get confused right now because it will be discussed in detail in the data representation chapter. Just see what I am doing. Okay, so I'll be taking 2 raised to the power 6 into 1 plus all zeros. Here also we have a 0. This will be 2 raised to the power 6, which is equal to 64. And that is the 64 which I am getting over here. So this is what? Left shift. Understood? So these operators, shift operators, they shift the bits of the number by certain number of positions towards the left or towards the right, depending upon the operator which we have used. Okay. Now we don't use these much, but because we are seeing all the operators, that's why I'm explaining them in detail, right? Next is we have the identity operator. Now, what are identity operators? There are 2 identity operators, is and is not. Okay, let's understand this by an example. I write 5 is 5. It will give me true. I write 5 is 6. It will give me false. If I write A equals 5 and I write B equals 5 and I write A is B, it gives me true. Why? Because in the memory, this is 5. Okay. A is also pointing to 5 and B is also pointing to 5. But there are certain situations when you work with collections. At that time, you will find that this is not the case. Let us try to do that. I'm creating a small list L1, and which is equal to 1, 2, 3, 4, right? Let me create L2 also as 1, 2, 3, 4. Let me say L1 is L2. It is giving me false. Why? Because in the memory, one list L1 might be created at some location. Okay, and it is what it has pointers to other locations. That is, this is pointing to 1, this is to 2, 3, and 4. And now L2 might be pointing to some other memory location which contains pointers to these numbers. Now, although these values are pointing to the same location, but L1 and L2 are themselves pointing to two separate locations. That is the reason why L1 is L2 will give me what? False. This will become more clear when you study collections. Okay. So is not is just the opposite. That is, if you write is not L2, if you write L1 is not L2, it will give you true, because it is quite visible from here that L1 is not L2. Right? So these are identity operators. Again, it is a rarely used operator in Python. You won't need it right now. Next is relational operators. So I'm not going to waste much time on these right now. Yes, relational operators are very important. So please write them down. What are the relational operators which you use? We have less than sign, greater than, less than equal to, greater than equal to, not equal to. So this is less than, this is greater than, less than or equal to, greater than or equal to, not equal to. Please write them down in the copy.
Ma'am, written.
Okay. Neat. Now, what does less than mean? It is again, it is used in this way: A less than B, A greater than B, A less than equal to B. It is similar to the mathematical less than equal to, which you write like this. Students, in Python, do not use this symbol. Why? Because you don't have any symbol which looks like this on your keyboard. Because we use our keyboard, and keyboard contains a set number of symbols. All mathematical symbols cannot be expressed over here like you do on pen and paper. So for less than equal to, we will be sticking to this symbol. Can anyone tell me the meaning of less than equal to? What does it mean when I say A less than equal to B? I have
A
used
is at
here.
least equal to B.
Yes, very good. A is at least equal to B. That is, it can be either less than B or it can be equal to B. Understood? In both conditions, it will give you what? True. Okay, I'll take the attendance first. Somebody had sent me, ma'am. Yes, Divya Jyoti, it can also be represented that way. That is like this. We will check it in a bit. In some programming languages support both. Some programming languages support only this one. Okay, and this is the universally accepted symbol. You can also use this one. And greater than equal to A greater than equal to B, which is mathematically represented as this. Okay, again here you cannot use this symbol. You have to use this symbol. Now equal to. Why a double equal to has been used? Students, this is something you have to understand very carefully. There is something which you write as A equals B also. Deepak, there is only one programming language which you will be studying, that is Python, in class 11th as well as class 12th. Earlier we used to have in computer science we used to have C++, and in IP informatics practices we used to have Java, but that is completely lifted now, and you both IP as well as CS students, they have to study Python only, but they study different domains of Python. Like you will study things which are mostly related to calculations. Okay, you will study now Matplotlib and all those things have been reduced this year for this year, but usually students study Matplotlib and other things, and those who are in IP, they study Pandas library. Okay, so if we have time we will cover that also. That would help you with your projects, but firstly we have to concentrate on our syllabus. Okay, so this AB and this A equals B. What is the difference between the two? Please note it down very carefully in the copy. This A equals B means you are assigning B to A. Whatever is the value of B in the memory, suppose B is pointing to 5 in the memory. So when you write A equals B, you are making A point to the memory as well. That is, A is an identifier or a label which will be pointing to 5 as well. But when you say A equals B, you are checking whether the value of A is equal to the value of B or not. In this case, it is what? True. It will return the result true, but this will not return any result. Not return anything. This returns the result that is true. But A equals B, when you do it, you won't find any difference. Like if I write here, I have A, I write A, I have B equals 5 and I write A equals B. Nothing happens. But when you print them A comma B, both of them will be 5. But if you write A equals B, you will get true. That is, A is equal to B. I write C equals 6. I write A equals C. Answer is false. C, A is not equal to C because A is 5 and C is 6. Got it? So this is the difference between the two. This is your assignment operator. It is used for assigning values of RHS, right hand side, to the left hand side. Whereas this is your equality operator. It is for checking the equality of both LHS and RHS, whether LHS is equal to RHS or not. And not equal to will say whether A is not equal to B. If I write here A not equal to B, answer is false because A is equal to B. If I write A not equal to C, what answer should I get?
True.
Yes, you will get true because A is not equal to C. Okay, let us try using this one also. Syntax error. I'm sorry, this is not recognized in Python. It is recognized in some programming languages, but not in Python. Okay, so absolutely refrain from using this. So please write all the relational operators in the copy, students. Okay, if I say A equals 5 and B is also equals to 5, I write A greater than equal to B. What result should I get?
Ma'am,
Hmm.
it will be true.
Yes, it will be true. Why? Because A is 5, B is 5, and we are using greater than equal to, which says that even if it is equal to, answer is true. Same way with A less than equal to B also, answer will be true. But if you are using A greater than B, then answer will be false. Why? Because because A is not greater than B, it is equal to B. Understood? And same way, if you write A is less than B, that will also be false. But A less than equal to B, that will be true. Please write these in your copy, students. Again, a reminder, I have already checked your mock test papers. Please check your mails for that. Check the mail of that email address which you had filled in during your mock test. Okay. Written? Yes, written, everyone.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So for the time being, the most important operators are arithmetic operator. Wait. Arithmetic operator and relational operator and logical operator. These three are very important for the time being. Okay. Because we will now, when we start our programming, these three of types of operators you will be using a lot. Next is logical operators. Okay, before we, now there are three logical operators: and, or, and not, although not has been covered already as being logical negation. And it is not a binary operator, it is a unary operator. And because we are primarily discussing binary operators here, so we will not be discussing not over here, but not is a logical operator. Okay. And or they are logical binary operators. You usually use it in this way: A and B, A or B, right? The rules for and or are the same as we studied in the bitwise and or. That is, if both A and B are true, then the result will be true. Okay. If both, now I'll just tell you about and. Please draw this small table in your copy. A and B, and the result for A and B. Even if one of the statements, that is one of the sides, A is the left hand side, B is the right hand side. Even if one of the sides is false, the result will be false. So this will be false, 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 and true. And for or, it is opposite. If either of them is true, result will be true. Here both of them are false, so result is false. This will be true, this will be true, this will be true. Okay, draw this table in the copy and we will see one program today after this. Hmm. That's it. So we'll see one program now. Write the question. Yes, so you have to write a Python program to accept two numbers and print their sum, difference, product and quotient. So first look over here everyone. I'm moving over to the Python shell. I will close this. Hackers use various types of tools, okay, and mostly they use some scripting languages. Understood? That is absolutely out of the context right now, Orijit and Deepak. Okay, firstly, you should, well, that's what I said in the first, right in the first class, that is, you have to move one step at a time. You have to first understand the basics. Hacking वगैरह सब कुछ आप कर सकते हो Python से. Only thing is you have to first master all the constructs. Okay, and for that we have to start with the basics. There is no shortcut that you will surpass all these things and you will jump to the end, right? तो अभी जो कर रहे हो उस पे ध्यान दो, इतनी सारी चीजें मत सोचो, ठीक है? जो कर रहे हो अभी उस पे ध्यान दो. Right, so firstly what we are going to do is, I had explained it in the previous class. Can anyone tell me what we need to do right now? We have to create a program in the script mode. So what do we do for creating a program in the script mode? We will be going to which option?
File. Control plus N.
We will be going to file. Now from there, which option next?
New file.
New file, very good. And the first step which I told you, what is that?
I'm saving the file.
Saving the file. So I will do what to save the file?
Control S.
Control S, shortcut key. Because you people are programmers, so you have to rely on shortcut keys more than mouse operations. Now I have to select one location where I would be saving the file. So I have a location already, that is D drive, my Python program. Similarly, in your computer also you might be having a location. One word of caution, avoid saving your programs in documents. Why? Because documents or desktop is a place which is there in the C drive. Do not store additional things on the C drive, because C drive is the drive which tends to become full and it gets exhausted very fast, because most of our application programs we install in the C drive only, and C drive contains the system software also, that is our operating system also. So instead of C drive, try to save your programs in some other drive, like I have chosen D drive for that purpose. So within this, I'm going to save it. So I'm just going to type a name for function calc. That is 4 function calculator, which will give me results of 4 types of functions. Now, very first thing, I'm taking a number. So let me take the number as first, and I will take eval, input, enter the first number. Now, for purposes of quickening our task, we will just copy this entire thing, enter the second number, and we will write here what we have to find out: sum, difference, product, and quotient. So we will take a variable for sum. Now, because sum is already an inbuilt function, so we will not take sum. I'm taking add as the identifier for storing the sum of two numbers. How did I understand that sum is already a inbuilt function? Because it is changing its color. You can see it is being displayed in purple color, and which is the color syntax highlighting for functions, inbuilt functions. So avoid using that. So I'm using add, and although it will still give you the answer, but we have to follow some good programming practice. Understood? That's why. So I'll write first plus second. Next is for subtract. So for that I'll take sub, first minus second. Then I will take prod for product, first into second. And finally I'll take division, and for that I'll take quote for quotient, first divided by second. Okay, and now we'll print the results. Sum is what? Add. Second, difference is. Now within this prompt, that is within the double quotes, you can type anything in any way. So here it will be sub. Print practice prod. Print quotient is quote. Save the program. We will run the program now. Enter the first number 45, enter the second number 65, and you get the sum, difference, product, and quotient. So with this, we end today's class. We will meet again in our next class. Please practice this program.